Obviously Priory's moved now, but we just parked up at the place where it's like the only place with free parking. You what? Clark's. Clark's Originals. Yes. Happy. Everyone up north just wants to chat. I'm Danny. I grew up in Driffield. I worked at the Priory roughly around 2014, I'd say. Yeah, I'd have been around 14. I used to go to skate park, and then I was friends with like a few lads. You know what? I never actually really ate shit. I was never that daring. So I used to stick to these like minis. I used to ride the boat and that, but then I was always that rail. No one used to dare ride that rail over there. One of the lads who was in that group was called Charlie Spalding, and he had a Saturday job at the Priory. So I didn't know what it was. I'd never heard of the Priory before. And then one time we went in there and it was brilliant. For me, I've always had I hate this phrase, but a passion for fashion. From a young age, maybe like 13, 14, I'd go shopping on my own, like whether to buy something or not, just to go and look at stuff in high street brands. I used to love it. Because Drifffield's so a small town and people don't really care about fashion, you'd really gravitate towards people who do. So you'd have like a little close-knit bond. So fashion really brought people together who maybe usually wouldn't be. So I used to have a thing called Shed. One of my mates like, can Dill come? I was like, what, Dill Backhouse? They're like, yeah. I was like, I mean, if he wants to. Dill's like, it was a cool kid at school. And then everyone left at about 11 and me and Dill were stayed till like 5 in the morning, having like a heart-to-heart chatting about clothes and that.
Around here, there wasn't many people that were really invested in fashion, and there wasn't really anywhere as a hub to go towards or a community. And at the time, I was wearing a lot different clothing. I was a lot more into the mod scene, whereas he was a lot more into streetwear.
Danny was wearing streetwear?
Yeah, Danny was wearing a lot of streetwear.
One time we just went into Priory. Vince took Dill to the coffee shop bit. I remember them coming back and Dill being like, got a trial period tomorrow. And literally, the rest is history.
Good?
So, my name's Vince Clark. Worked in the fashion industry since 2005. Yeah, long story short, 2011 started a family, and my wife always worked in retail, so we thought, why not open a small little shop in Brid? Did it in Bridlington because I've always had this like thing of wanting to make my local town work, and been really adamant that I could do it.
And here we are. This is a Priory. Should we go down? Let's go down. God. All the pigeon shit, because they all sit up there.
There was 2 shops. There was a shop down the side of a slope.
Well, these used to be wooden. I don't know, they must be the same ones.
The shop at the top, which it originated in, basically manifested itself into more of a skate, segmented store.
It is mental being here, and it's annoying knowing that we can't get in it now.
The original store then developed itself into being skate-orientated, whereas the bigger store became more premium contemporary menswear.
It's sad, man. Oh, even come down here. So I'd never done any modelling work before in my life, and I think my first ever shoot was standing against these. God, it's mental. It's where it all started.
We'd already identified that retail was pretty boring by itself, so it was like, well, what do we do? So we built a shop with a pub in it. You know, that was just a natural thing to do. Let's do a bar. The community was what was strong.
I mean, the cafe and bar itself had already evolved quite a lot over time. That incorporated a completely new demographic, gave more of an element of a hub. It gave more reason to come down. It brought people from different walks of life.
It was all brought about by the community of the Priory, not necessarily the business of the Priory. And we always found that because we'd created something beautiful that Bridlington hadn't seen previously, people really got behind it and supported it, because they knew if they didn't, they'd lose it.
I guess hindsight's definitely given me a lot more clarity on the fact we were a lot more important in Bridlington as a whole. It was much bigger than just being a store that people wanted to shop at. It was much more than that.
What is a Priory boy?
A Priory boy for me is kind of centred around what a lot of the younger people in Bridlington are wearing.
If we're gonna go as one outfit,
Anorak,
a button-down shirt,
selvage jeans definitely.
and wallabies. Definitely wallabies.
We all wear them. You know, Wallaby Wednesdays at the Priory was insane. 10 lads with wallabies every Wednesday, and Tuesday, and Monday, and Sunday. Like, it just happened all the time.
One of the last ever things we did in the store was hosting Danny's 21st birthday, which I organised, I must say. But it was an interesting one because we had a coach of people coming up from London.
This is where the big coach parked up when all of our London lot came through to Bridlington for my 21st birthday party.
Is there any videos from that night?
I don't know if there's any videos from the night.
That's how iconic Priory was. I had my 21st birthday party at a retail store, and it was brilliant. I wouldn't have it any other way.
As the business grew, we thought it would get easier. It didn't. The gap between cash flow and profitability and turnover just got more apparent, and I was just getting older quicker, and the pressures were becoming very, very real.
And I remember getting a call off Dill while I was in New York at the time, and I was like, "Hey mate, how's it going?" And it was quiet, and I remember Dill not in tears but fighting back tears.
The phone rung one day, and it was like, "We love your business. We'd like to buy it."
And he was like, "Vince is selling his share." And I was like, "What does that mean?" He was like, "That's it. The Priory's kind of going."
We thought we were going to secure the Priory for the future from that point. And long story short, it just didn't really work out like that. The community spirit was all still there, but then after the summer, after we sold the business, when the company that bought the business decided to close down the physical retail store, that was when things really changed. You know, all the really strong DNA of the Priory kind of, well, it didn't translate.
So it really hit Bridlington hard, and like everyone who not only was part of it as a staff member, but everyone who was part of the community used to come to the events or even come down there just to see, or even come in for a coffee or a haircut, had a gap in them. Like it really hit hard to everyone. At the end of the day, yeah, it was a clothing store, but that was the last thing it was to all us lot.
Because even though the store continued online, the whole element that people loved had suddenly gone.
But then when it does end, you really realise that Priory wasn't just 4 walls as a store. It's the friendships. It's not even friendships, it's the bonds. Like, that's the best word for it. But you do really have a bond to everyone. Like, if you see them in the street now, like, you still know instantly, you're transported back to all like the memories and that, like, from the staff members to the lads who used to come down to the events to, yeah, the blokes who just used to get their haircuts. Like, we all still are connected, I guess.
I told everybody I'm not doing retail again. I'm definitely not doing it. I've been there, done it, not doing it again.
And Vince said, "You know what, I'm finally gonna put my feet up, I'm gonna retire. I'm gonna get a farmhouse in the countryside, I'm gonna retire." And that lasted, how long? 7 months? Don't even think it was that.
Because that's just what Vince does, he's just that sort of guy. And that's when a company, Clade, came about.
So with the Priory, we elevated more expensive brands, more exclusive brands, and it was just like high price points, moving further and further away from our core customer all the time. So, well, what do? I know what I'll do. We'll buy stock that's broken. We'll buy stock that nobody else wants, and we'll retail it. We started in the garage. My mum started repairing, you know, old jackets, rip the zip out, turn it into a tote bag. Jacket, broken, turn it into a cushion.
Don't get me wrong, it's still a work in progress. We've pretty much only just moved in, but it's the start of a journey.
Having a team again, having a community come back and have something more than just you walk in, there's some clothes, there's some shoes, whatever it may be, and then you leave, and that's kind of it.
Everyone's happy to have like something back. It is still that community coming back together. So although the product's different, it's back to being a hub again.
So it's a very different business, and it's been hard trying to find our groove, especially with the current environment. Challenges are still ahead, but I think me and the team at Clade, everybody that's around us, that support us again, we've noticed that the customers are coming back. Wait a minute, them guys used to buy like really cool brand new stuff off us. Now they're buying second-hand stuff and they're really not bothered. And what it's really taught me is what I learned when I met people like Danny in the first place. It's about people.
It's like with Bridlington, although it's like really dystopian as a place, some of my best mates have been from Bridlington, still live here. Like, just because the place itself, like on the seafront and that's Priory, doesn't mean that I don't have an affection for all the rest of Brid. Like, it's gorgeous, there's some beautiful places. Through Priory and that, like, I've met some of the most coolest people in the world. It's kind of a shame to see it go. But it's new ventures, isn't it? Like,